Hello ladies and gentlemen, Anime Freak here. Welcome to another Toilet Talk video. I know, weird. Uh, Let me adjust the camera on my cell phone again. When will this be uploaded? I have no idea. The internet in the hotel went out. They're trying to fix it and everything. As you can see, I'm in my, I guess, signature wife beater. It's a black one this time. I don't really wear much clothes when it comes to lazing around the house. But I want to talk about something because I had a random idea, and the reason I'm quiet is because it's damn near 3 in the morning and my mom's asleep. So, I'm not a jackass, but I do like to talk and I do like to record these videos. So, I want to talk about science this time. Last time I talked about politics, and that could be a touchy subject, but let's talk about something that we can all relatively agree on. Science. We all can't relatively agree on it, but let's talk a little bit more about physics. I got to thinking about a movie I really enjoyed, Interstellar. I did actually really enjoy that movie. I thought it was a really well made, well thought out movie. The science in space, perfect. Science on Earth, not so perfect. Plagues like that don't move that quickly through planets, and it would take a couple 100 years for it to really affect planets like that. At least from a lot of what I read and a lot of what I know. I'm not a botanist, but I'm about to get into physics. I'm not a physicist, so I'm a cook. But I one time did really want to be a scientist, particularly I think a chemist, or just an inventor, somewhere in that range to help people learn more about the world. So I always keep a peg on all that stuff. Always keeping a lookout for it. Always trying to adjust my ass. Sitting on a toilet seat hurts. So I'm always trying to check into that stuff, look at that stuff, keep stuff like that in mind. Even though my field of expertise is culinary science, I still try to keep an open mind about all sciences. So, what is it I exactly want to talk about this with the movie Interstellar? Well, a couple things popped into my head. One, it was questions about how time reacts and time travel, and particularly this idea that the movie hinges on, which is Matthew McConaughey's character goes, I guess, 50 light years away. Probably more than that, but light years away from our solar system to another solar system in our galaxy using a wormhole. Now, wormhole is simply just an anomaly in space that bends space around and allows you to go from one point to another point in a very quick, expedient fashion. Think of it as a door. Okay? And let's say you were at point A, which happens to be 25.7 miles from point B, where you need to go. Well, wormhole is an idea of this door that you open up, and on the other side is point B. The wormhole is a connection between point A and point B that erases the distance in between. But that's something you can look up online. Everything I'm going to tell you is easily accessible and lookable online. So, they use a wormhole to get from point A to point B. And at point B, it's close to a black hole. Now, gravity bends time, so the closer you get to a black hole, the longer time it takes for you to exist compared to the rest of the galaxy, or compared to the rest of your point. Here's what I mean. If you go 50 light years away using a wormhole, and you then travel back or send a signal back to Earth, it would take 50 years to reach Earth without a wormhole. Is it possible to travel through time? It is possible to go forward in time, because time relative to you is different than time relative to Earth. Time is all relative. So wherever you are at some point is the amount of time, and time applies to you in normal standings. So time does not flow faster or slower for you. Time flows faster and slower for you in relativity to Earth. So, to simply explain it, if you're on another planet that is farther away from its sun, or has a different day rotation for one day compared to Earth, a day for you could be 48 hours for us. That's where time's relative. So here's kind of the point. 15 minutes on one of the planets for McConaughey's character in the movie is 30 years, or 20 years on Earth. Because for him, every hour on that planet, or every segment of time on that planet, I'm going to go with an hour because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but every, let's say, hour on that planet was 5 years in Earth time. Because that planet had different gravity, different rotations, and you can see the breakdown of where I don't understand it, because there's a threshold between understanding it and comprehending it and being able to functionally explain it in detail. You see, the math's lost on me. I'm not a physicist, but it got me thinking about a couple different things. One, the idea that time travel is impossible. The theory that time travel is impossible backwards. That time's always moving forward, it's impossible to cycle back. Which makes sense. I can understand that. It is a proven fact. You can time travel forward. No one's technically done it. But you can time travel forward because time's relative. So you could, at 25, go through a wormhole. I'm only 24, but let's say you're age 25, and you go through a wormhole, you go through a different galaxy, different gravity, different time, and you can spend 5 hours there and come back home to Earth, and it's been 5 years. So, I have a theory. I don't know if this is a common theory on the internet. I doubt, but it's an old episode of Twilight Zone. There's a damn fly in here. An old episode of Twilight Zone where an astronaut lands on a planet, and the twist is, as it turns out, he's getting messages from his home planet, and his home planet gets destroyed. Turns out he's Adam, and there's another alien who's Eve, and it's Earth, and Twilight Zone. If you don't know what it is, go look it up. It's an amazing series. I had a really crappy reboot and a bunch of bad movies. It's an old series, black and white. But there's a theory I like to think of as, when the astronaut on the planet landed, he kept getting messages from Earth, pre-recorded messages, leading up to the eventual apocalypse of his planet, the end of it, whatever it was that did it. And it made me think, what if The interlude between these messages were years and not days, like he thought. It would fall in line with this idea that his planet is in a different gravitational time zone. I don't know if that's an actual term, I'm just using it. I make up shit sometimes, or I come up with shit off the top of my head, and if any of it does actually, some of this shit actually does, is this like gravitational time zone, if that's an actual thing, cool. It's new to me. So I like to think about stuff like that. I thought that was an interesting idea. I had no point, but it was like, it's just, I love the idea of explaining a light year, because a light year is not distance, but a measurement of time. And it's always cool to think about that at some point the distance gets so vast that measuring in meters, kilometers, or kilometers, or whatever comes after that, because metric system, miles, it's so ridiculous to do that it's easier just to measure it by how long it takes for light to get from there to us. I always find that cool. That idea really interesting, really cool. You know, it always kind of makes you wonder, well, how could you traverse space? Wormholes. How could you get around the gravity, the time zone conundrum of, if you get close to certain planets with certain gravitational pulls to them, an hour equals a year? Well, it would all have to be relative. You'd have to, how could something like Star Trek feasibly exist? Well, you'd have to figure out a way to coordinate everything. Planets that have an intense gravitational pull that would cause time to warp like that would have to coordinate with the rest of the galaxy. Wormholes would eliminate a lot of warp drive wormholes accessing this exterior piping in between galaxies that it probably exists. Like, let's get real, it would have to exist. It's kind of a byproduct of galaxies existing. The idea of there being an extra dimension, or there being a framework to the galaxy that you could take advantage of to move quicker between space to space to space, point to point to point. Having access to something like that kind of eliminates a lot of it. And there's no guarantee any of these planets are inhabitable, and if they are, and there is life, they're moving at a vastly slower pace to us. So here's a query for anyone, an idea for anyone who believes there's life out there, and I do. I think there is, obviously. I like the way Neil deGrasse Tyson describes it as there's a 1% difference between us and apes. 1%. Now imagine the 1% beyond us. I mean, that could be what intelligent life is out there. If there is intelligent life out there that's like us, on par with us, on idea with us, they either have to have had to exist for far longer than we had to achieve warp drive and intergalactic space travel to come see us, or they're moving at the same pace we are, so we would meet in the middle at some eventual point. I don't like to see that. I don't like the idea that 1% being the gap. I think that 1% is just a starting point. I think that intelligence is a never-ending, further moving comprehension. So it's always building off of each other. What we knew 10 years ago on top of what we know now kind of idea. That it takes generations and constant, because we're always evolving, we're always moving forward. So it takes constant knowledge evolution to move forward. So it takes generation after generation of having a starting point to having an ending point. We use this 1% as a easy factor, an easy answer to what's the difference between us and apes. Well, genetically 1%. Okay? But on a mental capacitive level, we're always building off of knowledge. You see, no one's trying to teach generations of monkeys how to build particle accelerators. No one's trying to teach them physics. We teach them some sign language. We stick them in zoos, or we just let them live wild. The problem is apes plateaued. And when you plateau, you stop. You can survive. The difference is humanity kind of transcends that. That 1% helped us transcend just surviving. It helped us move forward into thinking about what's around us and building off what's around us. So, 1% difference is not a handicap. It is a gift. Because that 1% has unlocked the rest of the 99% that we need. It just may take a while. Will intergalactic travel happen in my lifetime? Inter solar system travel? Yes, I believe in the near future we'll probably colonize Mars or something like that. I very really do. I believe that. I believe that just to do it, we would terraform different planets, and we would move forward. And we would want to explore other planets and create life beyond just Earth. So yes, I think in my lifetime it's very real that we will send people to Mars and they will colonize Mars. I also think it's very I also think it's very, very logical to think that we will do the same thing with the moon in my lifetime. But interstellar travel, I'd like to see it in my lifetime. It'd be great to get a extraterrestrial bit of help. You know, maybe drop a little bit of extra knowledge down on top of us. The problem with that is we might just blow ourselves up. But I like to view it as a simple idea of our knowledge is always expanding and evolving. Evolution is learning something and it becoming a trait, essentially. Evolution is adapting to your surroundings. Evolution is simple. The evolution of knowledge is a very simple idea. One generation goes as far as it possibly can with knowledge, and that creates a baseline for the next generation of scientists. So Stephen Hawking, smartest man on the planet. There's no doubt about it. No one's going to argue that point with you. There's other amazingly smart people that are on par with him, but if I said he's one of the smartest people on the planet, he is the smartest person on the planet, you can't really argue with that. He has created a baseline for the next generation of scientists. The top of what he knows is the bottom of what they're going to know. Because we've already figured it out, now it's time to build off of it. I don't think we're ever going to plateau. I think that's the thing with humanity that makes humanity different from just every other animal is we've transcended this plateau. We could have plateaued back in the Bronze Ages. We could have plateaued back in the Industrial Revolution. We could have plateaued in the Stone Age. When we figured out how to make basic tools, and we figured out how to refine those basic tools. When we figured out how to have a piping sewage system, a working sewage system. When we figured out how to have a farm that takes 3 people to run it and pick and cultivate. When we figured out how to make the automobile move forward, when we figured out how to communicate between point A and point B using wires, when we figured out how to do it using wavelengths. We could have plateaued at any time, we could have stopped at any time, but we still keep moving forward, creating more advanced, more interesting things. We keep moving forward, even though we're comfortable, even though we're satisfied, even though right now if we stop moving forward and all we do is take care of the planet and cultivate the planet and fix energy crises and hunger and strife and disease and worked on nothing but those and stop trying to move forward, we would still keep moving forward, because at the end of the day we always want to keep doing bigger and better things, and that's just the basis of all humanity, is constantly moving forward. We're like a fucking clock that's been wound up and we just gotta unwind. The difference is I don't think we've got an ending to it. I think you can keep moving forward and forward and forward and keep going. But I'm getting philosophic, or I'm going philosopher on this. This was just a simple talk about science. At the end of the day, point A, point B. Just humanity figured out how to say fuck it and move past point B and just push on through C, D, E, F, G. Move it all the way to Z and start the fuck back over at A.